Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we are going to work on a custom piece for a client. She brought this container in. We actually used this container we put together something for her several years ago, and it still has foam in there and it's been plastered down into the container, so it is stuck. And so the foam's still good enough for us to arrange flowers in. It is for the cemetery. And this sweet lady brings in her own flowers, so she picked up some flowers that she liked at Hobby Lobby, and she brought these in. We're going to add some pretty mixed greenery to this piece, and then pretty ribbon, so that she can take it to the cemetery. I'm going to start out covering this foam with a little bit of Spanish moss. Now, usually we try to cover our foam with Spanish moss. Lately, we haven't had any available, so I got some in, and I'm so excited. So I like to cover that foam with some moss because of course it makes it so much more visually pleasing. Next, I am going to come in with my foliage. So I like to start with a little bit of leather leaf foliage. Now this leather leaf is a silk leather leaf foliage. It comes 12 stems to a bundle. So I'm going to take my wire snips and I'm going to cut off that end, and then I'm dipping it into my glue pan. Now, I don't know if you have ever used a glue pan before, but let me tell you, it is a game changer if you have not. You'll find that glue pans don't blister you like a hot glue gun does. So with each stem, I'm just taking it, dipping it right into that glue, and pushing it right into the foam. Now, many years ago when I first started into the floral business, how we used to do this is we never used glue. We would take each individual stem and we would take a Koei wood pick, which is one of those little green wood picks that has the little wire at the end. We would take and put a wood pick on the end of each and every stem that we used. And then we would take florist tape and we would tape every single one of those wood picks. Now, you want to talk about time consuming. And so we had one lady in the flower shop, and she would individually pick every single flower, tape every single flower, and add them into silk arrangement. So her full-time job was doing silk flowers. And I can remember later on when I bought my own flower shop, when we got our own flower shop, I was talking to my friend Donna, and Donna said, "Monty, why in the world are you putting picks on every single flower? Why don't you just glue them right down into the foam?" It had never crossed my mind. And so once Donna told me how to do this, I'm like, what in the world? Why did it take this long? But it's because that's how they did it, so that's how you thought it was supposed to be done. And so I am so thankful that Donna informed me about this way, because it sure has made a big difference, especially in not being quite so time consuming. So with each stem, I'm just dipping it right down into my glue pan and pushing it right down into the foam. And there is our greenery all the way around. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take her stems. I think these are supposed to be ranunculus, just really pretty white blooms. Now, Miss Cherry likes white flowers for the cemetery, and the reason is white doesn't fade. And I was telling her, you know, that is so smart. It is so thoughtful to use white flowers because, again, they don't fade in the sunshine. Now, here in Mississippi, the sunshine fades flowers so terribly. And so there are a few certain flowers that I would prefer, especially if I was going to have them, if I'm placing them in the cemetery for my family members. There are a few colors that I would choose not to use versus colors I would choose to use. So white is a wonderful color. Again, it's not going to fade in the sunshine. So I took and cut all the stems apart. Anytime you're working with silks, go ahead and cut them apart, cut them into all the individual stems off. If you need to add length, that's when you're going to come back in with your wood pick. But go ahead and cut it apart. It's going to make a much prettier arrangement. So we were talking about color and the colors that I would choose versus the colors I wouldn't choose. I would never choose red. Red fades, and red, when it fades, looks like faded red. It doesn't fade into another pretty shade. Now, a color I enjoy using and I like to see when I go to the cemetery is orange, because orange fades to peach, and so it is the perfect color for the cemetery. But it's interesting at how color fades and how you can kind of see. I'm trying to tear off the tag. And of course, I don't think I have a pair of scissors right here. I may have to cut it off. Here they are. It's always good to have scissors on your design table, isn't it? But it's interesting how weather and sunlight and all the things affect color and the fading. Now you can take and spray all of your flowers with a clear polyurethane, and that would help to keep the flowers from fading. But you just have to know, inevitably, they are going to fade and they're going to age and they have to be replaced. And it is that time of year here that we do lots and lots of flowers for the cemetery, because it's almost Memorial Day and we do a lot of arrangements for Memorial Day and cemetery type styles. Now here at our flower shop, the most popular style is a vase arrangement. We often do it in like a little cone, and we place, those vases will fit down into vases that are already on the grave. Okay, so there's our pretty white ranunculus. I'm going to go ahead and cut off a few more of another bush. But we do all types of arrangements. I mean, we'll make baskets and we'll make saddles. We don't sell nearly as many saddles as we do vases, but it's interesting at how different places sell more of different things. Now she asked that we add some different foliages to this arrangement. So I do have a couple of different styles of foliage. We added the leather as our base. And then I have like a little filler flower and kind of it almost looks either ruscus or Nandina-ish. These flowers are pretty though. I think these flowers came from Hobby Lobby. They're a really pretty flower, I think. And I think when you use all the same type of flower, it really kind of makes a statement, doesn't it? And it's all the same blooms. All right, so this is the last stem of flowers. There's our flowers all the way around, just really pretty. Next we're going to come in. This is, it's just a filler bush. I believe I picked this up from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to take it and I am going to cut it apart, just like I did the floral stems. Anytime you're doing an arrangement though, you're gonna find that you can really make the arrangement look much prettier if you cut all the stems off of the original bush. You can rearrange it and get it all the way through. If you stick these individual stems, you can't spread it out as well. So it's always better to cut off those stems. And so I'm just taking and dipping each stem right down into my glue, just like I did the white ranunculus. Another thing that you can keep in mind is when you go and you purchase your floral stems to tuck into an arrangement, the wonderful part about artificial blooms is if it's not the right color, you can take and paint those with hardware store paint. It's not going to hurt artificial blooms at all to paint them. And so, like if these needed to be a soft yellow or a soft pink and you couldn't find the shade you wanted, pick up the paint in that color and add paint to those flowers to make them the color you want. I've even seen where all of these flowers are made out of cloth. And so they'll even dye. So if you wanted to take...
Call from Woodley Flowers.
If you wanted to take and dye them with RIT dye, you can absolutely dye those blooms with RIT dye too. And so it'll make an upper end, a prettier color if you wanted to. But that's always nice to know that they can be painted or dyed to the right color if you can't find them in the right color you're looking for. All right, so our filler is all the way through. Next, we're going to come in with this little mixed greenery. This is just a little mixed foliage bush. And I like that this is kind of limey colored. I think it's really pretty for spring. So I'm going to take my little snips, my wire snips, and I'm cutting all those stems off just like I did before. So you see how simple this is. It's so simple to do. You're going to just take it and fill it out all the way through. So I'm taking each of these stems again, dipping them in my glue, and I'm going to kind of come around this edge so that this greenery will just kind of drip down on that edge. See how pretty that limey green color is? It's so pretty.
So we'll absolutely be in touch very soon. Thank you, sir.
Now let me tell you one thing about the glue pen. It's strings. I think any hot glue strings, you know, it has all these little strings that come off. If you will take a blow dryer and hit those strings with a blow dryer, it's going to help cause them to shrink. They will be gone. You won't have to worry about those strings in your arrangement, because it almost looks like little spider webs all over your arrangement from the glue. All right, so we are completely finished with our greenery and with our flowers and with our filler. Here's our pretty arrangement. I'm going to add a ribbon, and I'm going to tuck a ribbon kind of right in there. Honestly, I don't know that it needs it. It's really pretty. And she didn't ask for a ribbon. We're not going to do it. I think it's beautiful just the way it is. Honestly, this would be so pretty on a dining room table. It's really a pretty, pretty bloom. So see how simple it is? All you're going to do is just continue to go all the way around. Now, of course, if you're making this at home, be sure to add plenty of blooms. It just looks so much prettier with more blooms, but any bloom works. Anything that is outdoor safe is perfect for the cemetery. You never want to use a stem that's wrapped in paper though outside, because that paper is just going to kind of melt off if it rains. So always be sure that it's a plastic covered wire instead of a paper covered wire. If you pick it up and it's paper covered, it's not going to be outdoor safe or weather safe, because if it rains, any of the things, it'll melt. And there you have it. There's our arrangement. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about how we do things here at Flowers by the Bunch, you know you can always ask. We are so happy to answer any questions you might have. You can drop that right here in the comments, or you can email us at flowersbythebunch@yahoo. We'd love to answer any questions. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, be sure to hit that little subscribe button down below. And if you'll hit that bell, you'll get notifications for when we have a new video. Thanks, guys.